Hello and welcome to the English Matura Express, the express to your success. My name is Maria and today we're going to talk about the environment and pollution and how to talk about that in the English A-levels. Yeah. Hello and welcome back to another stream of the English Matura Express. So now let's have a look what we're going to talk about today. What's the content of our presentation or of our stream, obviously. Okay, so first of all, I will give you an overview of the topic environment and pollution. So what topics are there? What subtopics do you have to learn? Then I will talk about global warming, especially about the causes and effects of global warming. Then about different forms of energy resources. Then I will move on to forms of alternative energy. I will also talk about the pros and the cons of alternative energies. And I will show you some ways to reduce our energy consumption. And yeah, at the end you are going to see a demonstration exam about environment and pollution. It's about alternative energies as well. Okay, so let's start. Basically, why do we have to learn about the environment and pollution? Of course, it's a topic of your A-level, so you have to study it. But it's also very relevant, I think. So I don't know if you know Greta Thunberg. If not, do some research on her. I think it's quite important to have some, common knowledge and some knowledge about what's going on in the world right now, and it's very important when talking about the environment. She's a 15-year-old girl from Sweden, and she wants to save the environment. I mean, of course, that's not all about her, but do some research about her. So it's quite a relevant topic, and good. In your book, there are 2 chapters that are important when you want to learn about the environment and about pollution. So first of all, we have the chapter Energy and Climate, and then the other one is Ruining Our Planet. So what are the subtopics you have to acquire? First of all, global warming. What is global warming and what are the causes and effects of it? So the results. So Then you have to learn about the threats to the environment. That's in the chapter Ruining Our Planet. There we have things like acid rain, deforestation, resource exploitation, so the big deal about water shortage, and so on. Then you should be able to talk about you should know about the carbon footprint. So what is it and how to reduce it? And you should be aware of forms of energy, also about the energy situation in Tyrol. So what resources do we have? And at the end, it's always good to know, okay, how to save the planet. I know it's a difficult question to answer, and there isn't probably one answer to it, but maybe you can come up with some strategies. If not, they are also in your book. And of course, do some research. So we have like recycling, you can talk about an eco-friendly lifestyle, about waste management, and so on. Good. So now let's start with causes and effects of global warming. So what is global warming? It has something to do with warming, and it's the gradual warming of the global average temperature. So the temperature is rising. And why? By the burning of fossil fuels. I don't know if you know what are fossil fuels, fossile Brennstoffe, coal, oil, and natural gas. Carbon dioxide is produced, and this increases. This leads to an increase of greenhouse gases. Sorry, I'm not really an expert on this topic. And that's a major cause of global warming. So the heat is trapped. And so global warming. So what effects are there? We have, of course, global warming. We have a change of the climate. So we have climate change. Because of climate change, we have the spread of diseases, more floods, fires, forest fires, storms, etc. So natural catastrophes and so on. And what can be done to tackle this problem of global warming? Yeah, first of all, you have to be aware that there is global warming. I mean, there are some people who aren't. And yeah, but then you should or could save energies. So to have a more energy efficient lifestyle, for example, to have a better insulation at your home, so better windows that you don't need to heat that much, so use less heat and air conditioning, buy local products so that the way of transport is not that far, and drive less and drive smart, so maybe take your bike instead of the car, and take fewer flights, especially when talking about short distance flights. I mean, if you want to go to the United States, then okay, it's fine to take the plane, but if you just want to go to, I don't know, Vienna, take the train. Yeah, good. So let's move on to our next topic, which is different forms of energy resources. Basically, there are two major categories. We have like renewable energy and non-renewable energy. So we will start by having a look at non-renewable energies. As I've already mentioned, there are the fossil fuels, so coal, oil, and natural gas, and we have nuclear power. So what's so bad about that? All of them have damaging effects on the environment. So we have like the carbon dioxide, so harmful gases, which lead to greenhouse gases and to global warming. And we also have radioactive waste when talking about nuclear power. And not only radioactive waste, we also have radioactive catastrophes, for example, Chernobyl. And there are, apart from non-renewable energy, we also have renewable energies. We have solar power, wind power, hydropower, geothermal power. That was new for me, so it's capturing the heat of the earth, so the inner earth, so like the earth's interior heat, and biomass. What's so good about them? Renewable energies, as the word already says, are limitless, so endless, and environmentally friendly. So why don't we use renewable energies if it's so good? Of course, there are also some cons to it. So now let's have a look at the pros and, unfortunately, the cons of renewable energies. Pros and cons. Good. So the pros, as I've already mentioned, they are environmentally friendly. And they are limitless and free, so you don't have to pay for the sun. Not yet. Maybe you will in a few years. And because of that, you are kind of independent from other countries, so you don't rely on some countries' oil or something like that. Yeah, because we all have the sun. I mean, of course, some people have talking about wind power. There are some countries there is more wind, but basically, it's free. But what are the cons to it? So, of course, the supply of it is not constant. Yeah, the sun is not always shining, and so you cannot harvest energy all the time. Then, what's also a big drawback of it are the high initial costs. So to set up the machines and so on, that's very expensive, and so it's also very expensive to use. So fossil fuels are less costly, and you have to imagine that the whole infrastructure is based on fossil fuels nowadays, so there has to be a changing of the whole infrastructure. So that's basically the biggest challenge. Good. So now let's move on to our next point, which is ways to reduce our energy consumption. Good. First of all, what is a very good point to mention is reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, so reduce your shopping of food, shopping of clothing, and reuse things, so don't throw things away. Of course, you can throw things away, but not good stuff. And recycle. So first of all, put it in, so separate your trash and that it's able to be reused and recycled. As not the trash, that people and so on are able to recycle it. Then have an energy efficient lifestyle. So as basic as it is, turn off the lights when you leave a room. Don't flush the toilet 3 times. No, I don't know. And buy energy efficient lighting. So the LED instead of light bulbs. Bike more, drive less. So that's also a very big topic. So the types of transportation. Use public transportation and don't use a plane for short distances. Try to go by foot and or by bike, and yeah. Choose sustainable food and shop wisely. So buy locally, that would be very good. And also shop wisely. Don't use plastic bags. Try to use fabric bags. And yeah, and I think what's the most important point, to reduce our energy consumption or to be more aware of our environment and natural resources. Educate yourself so that you, first of all, are aware of the problems and how to tackle them. What can we do? And yeah, give your knowledge to other people and help them understand that there has to be something done about it. Otherwise, the next generations don't have a planet to live. Maybe they are going to live on Mars, but yeah, we don't know yet. Good. So that's it about the topic. Of course, there are many more things to know. Do we have any questions so far?
So far, we don't have any questions.
No. Of course, the topic is much more bigger, and there are only some points of it, but as I've already told you, there are these 2 chapters, and be aware of these things. And yeah, that was just a short glimpse at the topic of the environment and pollution. But now let's have a look at an actual demonstration exam. It's about alternative forms of energy and a green lifestyle. So, where is it? Here you are. Okay, so here it is. Good. First of all, introduction. I mean, that's always the same. And then we have task 1, alternative forms of energy. And you should know something about that if you listened. Good. Being a volunteer for a well-known environmental protection organization, you are currently taking part in a project in which young activists exchange news and their own views on the environment. There is a meeting of all participants in Vienna. So that's the situation. And now you have to talk about different forms of alternative energy. So we talked about it. So we have these renewable energies like solar power, wind power, biomass, geothermal power, and solar power. And yeah, so of course it's good to mention all of them or a lot of them, but what I would recommend is to just mention 3 and explain them a little bit. So like when you talk about sun power, so do we have them? No, that's the third point. So where do we have sun power? I mean, of course, wherever there is the sun, but how does it work? And what do we need in order to harvest energy of the sun? So like, do we need solar panel and so on? And then you can talk about wind power, for example, so kinetic energy, and maybe mention something cool like geothermal energy. Yeah, so choose 2 or 3 and explain them well, and that's really good if you are able to do that. So then the next, we have a question over.
Sarah asks, what is about the energy situation in Tyrol?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I hope that you would answer it. So in Tyrol we have solar power. I think, I mean, that's how it is. But of course, the major forms of energy are fossil fuels in Austria as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yes, but
we also have a lot of
hydropower.
hydropower. Yeah, that's very. I don't know if you are aware of all the lakes out there, Speicherseen.
Yeah.
So we have one. I mean, maybe you know it in Kütai. Maybe you've been there. So we have a lot of hydropower because of the access to water we have. So that's very popular in Austria. We also have wind power, especially in the eastern part of Austria. So that's basically the energy situation in Tyrol. So in Tyrol we have a lot of hydropower and fossil fuels and solar power, but that's not so widespread.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it. And in Austria we almost had nuclear power.
Yeah, we almost had nuclear power. I don't know if you know about that. It's Zwentendorf. Yeah, is it? So it was built, but then they voted against it. So almost. But we have a lot of nuclear power surrounding us. So I think the next one is not really far away. But in Austria, there is no nuclear power. Yeah. So I hope we answered your question. Good. So then the pros and cons of alternative forms of energy. I've talked about them. So they are limitless, environmentally friendly. I think that's the major benefit of it when talking about how to save the environment, how to save our planet. And cons to it, high initial costs. Not everywhere you can harvest wind energy, for example. And you don't really have, for example, in Tyrol, we have a lot of water, a lot of good water, so it's easy for us to get some energy out of it. But in other parts of the world, of course, there isn't a lot of supply. And the energy situation in Tyrol, we already talked about that. Thank you for your question. So again, we have fossil fuels, we have no nuclear power. We have wind energy in the eastern part of Austria, so not really in Tyrol, and we have a lot of hydropower. Yeah, so that's the energy situation in Tyrol. And that was also part 1 of the oral exam, and then of course there is a part 2, which is the dialogue part, the discussion, and it's about a green, eco-friendly lifestyle. So there is an article, we need the sustainability movement to make green living the norm. So read about it and also use your own knowledge to talk about, what is a green lifestyle? So it's not that you have a green face or something like that. It's just that you drive less, drive smart. So you can talk about recycling. You can talk about, modes of transportation, buying locally. So there are many things to talk about when talking about a green, eco-friendly lifestyle. So is there one more question?
No, so far not.
Okay.
Sarah says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for your question. Maybe you have some more ideas. I mean, the energy situation in Tyrol, I think we basically covered it, but maybe you have some more ideas on how to lead a green lifestyle. So how to, save our planet. So what can the individual do, or what do you do? So that would be really interesting if you write it into the comments. So not only you, Sarah, but all the people watching. So what do you think? What can we do as an individual to save our planet? Yeah, I think that would be a really interesting question to have answered. So that's about it. If you are interested in what Chris said to, where do we have it? Why isn't it working anyway? What Chris said about alternative energies and the energy situation in Tyrol and the green lifestyle, you can watch our stream. I think it was a month ago. I think it was in March. So we had this demonstration exam. So just type in demonstration exam environment and pollution in Matura Express, or just have a look at our playlist, and there you can see what Chris said about this topic. I think that's very interesting to have a look at it. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you have a nice evening, and we're going to see us hopefully on Wednesday. Bye bye.